Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to DevChatter. I know that it has been a little while. As you might be able to hear in my voice, I've been out sick for the last handful of streams that we've missed here. I'm feeling slightly better, well enough that I think I can chance streaming. If I do end up having to cough or something like that, I will attempt to mute so that you guys don't have to listen to that. I mean, aside from like a general like throat clearing or something like that. But welcome everyone. No sense in missing code that much longer. Greetings, hey S&B, hello everyone that is here in the audience and just maybe has us in the background, something like that. And whether you're programming something else or actively planning on watching and getting involved in the discussion, either way, we're glad you're here. If this is your first time here, feel free to ask questions. We don't mind questions. Or if you don't understand something, we would love it if you asked. That gives us a chance to explain something that we think would be useful for everyone to know. Feel free to make suggestions, chit-chat. If you are interested in getting more active and involved in the code that we do here, you are welcome to look at any of the whoops, I didn't start my bot. I was going to say that you're welcome to take a look at any of the code we do here on the stream, and you will find that at our GitHub, which is github.com/devchatter, and I will link to that as soon as the bot is live, which there it is. And there's a link in the chat. You can find all these links down below as well. If you are interested in chatting with me or any of the other viewers here, even if you're not here live, if you want to chat with any of us, we usually have the discussion here on Twitch during a live stream. But there are discussions that go on outside of the live stream as well, either related to the projects we're working on or just general development stuff. So anything new happening in the tech world, a great place to actually have a discussion with other people is in our Discord. As I said, links over there in the chat and down below. So I want to make sure I welcome everybody who's showing up. Hey, Coated Beard. Glad to see people saying hi in chat for those of you that made it. I am going to tell you a couple of things that are going on. So we're going to be doing today's stream as normal. It is going to be a combination of VS Code and Visual Studio. We're going to be doing some C# and JavaScript most likely. As usual, I have some goals for what I kind of want to work on, and we'll see what we get to and what direction we kind of go. I like to do things that way because every once in a while I'll go in with a plan for a stream and someone will make some suggestion in the chat and I'll be like, you know what, that's a really good idea, let's do that. So feel free to bring suggestions, ideas, or anything like that. And I should mention, if you are interested, we are open to pull requests if you are so inclined. Okay, couple of other points that I want to make sure I get to. We are going to be working today on our DevStreams website, which of course the main focus of that is being able to have a schedule of developer streams that are out there. Hey, Rhinosaurus. So as you know, it is a web project doing ASP.NET Core, and we are essentially mixing in a little bit of Vue.js. Speaking of, we are going to have a guest on the stream who is someone that has been here on the stream and has worked on this project with us in the past, and we are a big fan of here, Dave Paquette, who is someone that did a very interesting blog post that I am going to promote here on the stream because we like Dave, and as I mentioned, he's one of our guests here. So he did an interesting blog post, which I am going to drop in the chat. It is kind of like a cool little thing that's so essentially he wrote about the way that we've been doing. I don't know if this is what triggered him doing this because I didn't fully read the post, but I did see that he did this and skimmed kind of through what he was doing, and I'm like, yep, this is exactly what we're doing in our DevStreams project. So I thought that was really cool that he went and took this and he's like, oh hey, you can kind of do this. So he did a post on how you would do this. So if you are interested in seeing how you can insert Vue.js into an existing project, the couple of ways you could do that is you could either take a look at our GitHub, and as I said, that's over here, and you go to our DevStreams project, which is right here, which actually you could find it out here by going to github.com/devchatter, go to devstreams, and you'll find this project. We do have source code in here, so you can see a full working project that does have Vue.js just intermingled in a couple of spots where it's useful. But then there is also, our friend David did this nice post that is a write-up of how you can sort of sprinkle in a little bit of Vue.js. So if you want to do mostly an ASP.NET Core website, but you kind of want to just add in a little bit of Vue.js, this will show you how to do that, and it does the exact same setup that we do in our project. So I think it works out fairly nicely. Okay, so very cool. And I think I mentioned David will be a guest here on DevChatter again on Thursday. So in less than 48 hours, actually it's going to be about 46 hours from now, we'll have David up there in that corner, and he and I are going to pair program on some stuff. My guess is that we'll be doing some more of this project, but I didn't get the chance to nail down with him necessarily if this is what he wants to work on. Usually when I talk to my guests, I try to make sure that we're going to work on something they're comfortable with, which he's worked on this project before, so he should be comfortable with it, but there might be something specific that he wants to do while on the stream, and I'm pretty open to that. So, okay. For anyone that saw any of my posts, well, first off, let's dive into the code. For anyone that saw any of my posts about what we're going to be doing today, I was suggesting that we could do some interesting things with Web API, JavaScript, ASP.NET Core, that sort of aspect of things. So I really should have dug into this more, but I didn't, so we're just going to wing it a little bit. But welcome to the development world. It's a lot of us winging it. We figure out what we want to do, get it working, make it a little bit nicer. So here's what I'm thinking. I want to add in a concept to this project that we talked about previously. At this point, well, let me show you the state of things. .NET run watch. What is the command? Is it just single dash project? I don't remember. I'm about to find out. Oh, it's dash project. I couldn't remember. Oh, the text should have changed. Yeah, so. And it is lowercase p. So the nice thing is the command line is actually helpful here. So if you are going to use any of the .NET CLI stuff that is available, it's actually pretty nice. They're really good about, if you called a command and it wasn't totally complete, guessing what you probably meant and making good suggestions. So, quite nice. Rubik's, hey, 7 months in a row, very nice. We got to get some hype in the chat for that one. I don't remember if the overlay is turned on. We're about to find out. Nope, overlay's not turned on. Sorry, SMD. Hey, yeah. Yep, 7 months. That's awesome. Thank you for the support, Rubik's. Do enjoy having everyone around, and it is nice when we get the when people want to, I guess, pick up all the DevChatter like stuff, the badges, the emotes, and the other things like that. We like it. Builds a nice community, makes it fun. Okay, so let's do localhost 5000. Sure, we can HTTPS, that's fine. So if you are going to run a website locally, keep in mind that you usually don't have certificate signing and other things like that, so your browser's likely to warn you. When you go to production, you do want to support SSL for the majority of websites, just, you know, as a thing, in case there's anybody in the chat that doesn't know that. Okay, so this is the basic website we're building. Ignore everything down here on the bottom. Obviously, we haven't really dealt with, like, nicing it up. We're still in our, I'll call it the Battleship Gray mode of our website. So, the couple of things that we've got. We decided to take a look at setting up channels So we have a basic set of channels that we deal with, and these are essentially how we handle a stream. So, for example, if I run more than one channel, maybe I run DevChatter, but I also run, say, my channel 1, I'm able to have more than one channel in here. Within those channels, I have a schedule of regular streams. And those regular streams are at these times. So for me, it's Monday at 2 p.m., Tuesday at 2 p.m., Thursday at noon, and Saturday at 1. So those are the start times in my local time. That's why it's displayed in the local time and lists my time zone. When we create these, what we're actually doing behind the scenes that I want to tell you about is we're actually creating a number of, I'll call them calculated records. And these calculated records exist because it's nicer to store some extra stuff in the database than have to do calculations on the fly to figure out what everything is in a correct time zone. Now, someone might say, why don't you just store everything in UTC? And the short answer is, for a recurring event, I am going to start my stream at 2 p.m. and when daylight savings time starts or ends, or any other weirdness with time zone, it's always going to be my 2 p.m. when I start my stream. So what that means is that you'd have to do a calculation to figure out at any given time in the future what the UTC value is. So clearly I can't store that. So hence why we store in local time and adjust to UTC. So the instance, the calculated records are in UTC because they are specific times. So while my stream might start at 1900 UTC today, 6 months from now, when we're in daylight savings time, it is going to start at 1800 UTC instead of 1900 UTC. Had to math there. And the significant thing is, while I had to math kind of slowly, we don't want to do that across many, many records through the database, figuring that out every time someone wants to adjust for things. So it's much easier if we store those records in UTC and store the recurring values, these, in local time. Okay, next bit of detail. So that is the information about these. For now, what I'm planning on doing is not going to be our permanent solution to this, but it is going to be our temporary one. I want to give us a little bit more information about a channel. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do this, so for now, I'm going to keep it simple, and if we come up with a better way, or if someone has a suggestion, this is the kind of thing that I actually expect a lot of people will have some good answers for. I want to add a bit of tagging or categories to these streams. So for now, since we're building this as a dev streams site, not just a general site. Hey Fleisch, welcome back. Glad to see you. That means that all of these are going to be in the science and technology category, say on Twitch or on YouTube or anything like that. And within science and technology specifically, they're all going to be programmers, hence why we called it dev streams. Whether they're beginners, intermediate, advanced, anything like that doesn't really matter. What the focus of the channel is, we could add stuff for that, but I think a better approach for now is going to be to implement some kind of tagging. So that's what I want to add now. I want to add tags because I want someone that goes to this site to be able to filter based on tag, because clearly we can't have more than like a handful of streamers if we don't have tags to be able to filter. So let's take a look at that, and since we are going to be adding tags, I know immediately what my branch is going to be. So let's go ahead and create a branch. So I like to prefix my branches with some kind of unique indicator that means me. So hence why I'm doing Benric on there. And essentially, I treat these. So if you don't use Git and Git flow and those kinds of things, I treat any branch prefixed with my indicator as a local branch, even if I've pushed it. And the way that I mean with that is no one else should touch my branch. In collaborating on a project, if we say we're working on tags as like a team, we might do something like this. Like this is the, tags feature might be the branch name that we do, something like this. And then, I later might do a Benric, tags filtering or something like that. And then that's my tags filtering that's going to go onto the tags feature. But this is known to be mine, so no one else is going to really use it. If I want someone else to use it, I'll remove my prefix from it and push out that version. So for now, we're just going to do Benric, and I'm just going to call it tags generically because I think that's going to get the point across. We're going to branch it off of master because we're not dealing with enough complexity to merit having a dev branch separately. We're not doing deployments at this point. As soon as we have deployments, then we'll add in a dev branch and start going into that as well. NSO, hey, greetings, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone anyone's in. Glad you're all here. 1 second while I cough a little bit. Sorry about that. As I mentioned to the people that got here earlier, I am recovering from a bit of a cold. That's why my voice sounds a little funny, if you noticed at all. Okay, so let's take a look. So do you use VS Code for front end and VS for C#? Rubik's, short answer, yes. So if I'm doing specifically JavaScript type stuff, I like to use VS Code, and for C# stuff, I like to use Visual Studio. That being said, I will do Visual Studio for JavaScript sometimes, and I will do VS Code for C# sometimes. Essentially, it's which one do I think is going to be less of a headache at any given moment. So I'm actually running both a Visual Studio and a VS Code. So you'll notice that's Visual Studio and that's VS Code, and they actually have the same project going. So that's the idea. There's the Visual Studio. So if I want to open up that same file, I could say go to the events controller, and I can open up the events controller, and that's the same file in both places, and I can just work wherever makes more sense. So I definitely am more comfortable doing C# in Visual Studio. There's some other benefits, although I will tell you Visual Studio does sometimes get confused with some of the weird JavaScript stuff. Hence VS Code for those pieces. They work fairly well even if you're running both of them at the same time, so don't be afraid of that. You might just have to do one of these. So if I make a change in this file and I switch over here, I just have to say, yeah, reload, that's fine. Essentially just telling the other one, yeah, it's safe to reload what I did. So that's all you have to deal with. Okay. So we want to work on tags. So step one, we need to figure out how we want to model this. So clearly we want to filter based on tags. Oh, actually, there was a thing I didn't show you all. Before we move on, and welcome, Mr. Blade Brown. Welcome. Hey, Brave Cobra. Okay, so first off, I want to show you this because this is our little example right now. We have not actually put in our visual calendar control yet. And this is just a sample to kind of prove the concept. So the idea is this. We can pick a time zone. So I can say, yeah, I'm in the United States, and maybe I'm in Chicago, right? So I say Central Time Chicago, and I want to see what streams are going on maybe this Saturday. And so this will return back any streams that are during the 24-hour period of that day in Chicago. Now keep in mind, for example, that my stream, and I don't know this for certain, but if you are in, say, South Korea, I have a feeling my stream doesn't happen on January 26th. It doesn't, see? It happens on January 27th, because what we're doing here is I am bringing back what is in your day. So my stream probably starts at like 1 a.m. or something like that in South Korea time. So obviously I don't want to show them my stream as a Saturday stream because that's confusing. So we choose what the day limits are based on the time zone you tell us. So that's actually the cool thing that we built when we set up this little calendar page. So I wanted to show you that. This is basically the page that filters what's going on at any given time. Obviously we need a better display for it and better controls for tweaking these values, but this is the basic concept. So the next control for filtering that we want to add in is tagging. So some common tags that I think are going to come up are programming language tags. So C#, JavaScript, Java, Python, whatever language you use, we're going to have a tag for that. So whatever language you want to see and whatever language you want to stream, depending on whether you're a streamer or a viewer. So that's the basic idea. Okay, so for now, I mentioned that we were going to start out simple, and by that what I mean is we're going to have tags for the whole channel and not for the individual streams, because I do know some streamers that what they'll do is they will do certain things on certain days of the week. So maybe they do their JavaScript streams on Tuesdays and their C# streams on Thursdays. And that's an approach that some people do. For now, we're not going to deal with that level of granularity. We're just going to say whether the stream does these things or not for now. Obviously, those could get added in later, but it should be enough filtering just to choose languages you want. And it's not just languages. There's certain styles and things like that. I could certainly see some people wanting to watch streams where the streamer does a webcam because it's easy to interact and see what they're saying, thinking, doing while they're coding. And some people that might be distracting. So I can see both sides of that, and you might want to choose webcam, no webcam. So there's things like that. Also language. Not programming language, but spoken language. You might want to filter down. Maybe you're not a native English speaker, and maybe you speak German, and you want to see native German programming streamer, and that's a little bit easier for you. Maybe it's difficult to keep up with the English, because obviously if it's not your native language, you know, I should say, whether the streamer is native English or not, any of us can speak quickly. And so these kinds of considerations can all get handled by tagging out the gate. So that's one of the reasons why we like that concept. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, first off, that we want to have a tag as a model of some kind. So let's create a tag, and actually, I don't know why I'm doing this in here. That's a C# piece. I should be doing that in Visual Studio. So I'm going to nuke that, and let's go ahead and create a new class. We're going to call it tag. And inside of this, see, it created my namespace, my class for me when I did it over here. And I'm going to do a property, and I'm going to give a tag a name. Tags have names. I think a tag has a name. Then I made it a data entity. So data entity really doesn't have much. I just put that on there for the consistency of adding in the ID in the same way every time. So any value that I want to have just get an ID and be understood that it's stored in the database, I just put data entity on it. That doesn't mean necessarily that it is a root of an aggregate, for example. That just means that in some way there is a table representing this model object. So that's all that is for me. All that it's inheriting from that is just an ID value, and it's not strictly necessary. So we can get rid of it. It's mostly just a convention in the app as a hint to anyone using it. Okay. I actually like the idea of a description. Now, we're not going to do this the same way that Twitch does, but I am actually going to show you how Twitch does its tagging. Can I pop this out? No. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to collapse all of these. Okay. Hang on, everyone. There we go. Alright, so this is my dashboard here on Twitch with everything except stream information closed down. So we're looking right here. These are the tags for the current stream that is live right now. Tags are a concept used in a lot of different systems, and I'm a big fan of tags because they do a lot for giving descriptive information to some content. So in this one, you'll notice that I have a handful of tags. I have programming, software development, web development, educational, ask me anything, and I automatically get IRL and creative. So if I remove a couple of tags like programming and software development, you'll see those are suggested here. When I mouse over this, it says for streams with an emphasis on the discussion or process of computer programming. That's definitely this stream, so I'm going to include it. And if I mouse over software development, it says for streams with an emphasis on the discussion or act of software development in its many phases. So whereas programming is specifically about like the writing of code, this is about the process of development. Our stream does focus on both of those, so hence I include both tags. So that's kind of the idea. For things like engineering, you'll notice creative application of science, math, technology, purpose of innovation, design, and construction. It's kind of similar, but those other ones definitely relate to us better. So the descriptions give you a much better idea of what they meant. So the AMA, which I will bring back up, because you might be like, Brendan, you're not really doing an AMA. No, I'm not. So it's an emphasis on answering the questions of viewers. And we do have that. So they're pointing out it's not really an Ask Me Anything. It's about an abbreviation. It's about really focusing on questions and discussion is kind of the way I see that. So I include that tag. Okay, I figured I'd show you that because that explains why I like the idea of having a description on my tags. Superbrain, if you get a tag from the database, do you also have to do you have access to data entity? So the data entity in this case is really just for CSharp's sake. In the database, all that really exists there is no data entity table. That's just an indicator that I have an ID property, is really all that is. I could rename that to something else, but I like the idea of just saying, hey, yeah, this is a data entity. We store this one in the database. So it's also a good indicator for someone, hey, that's a model that gets used in the database, so just keep that in mind. Brave Cobra, potentially yes. I do want this to integrate with the Twitch API, but I don't want this to be Twitch specific because I would like this to be able to handle anyone who's doing a YouTube or a Mixer stream as well. So if you stream somewhere that isn't Twitch, I want to be able to integrate with that. And there are actually a couple of other services I want to integrate this site with as well. So that's the idea. So name, description, I think that will get us quite a ways on our tags. Okay. Let's see. Now, here's the tricky part. As I recall, if I'm remembering Entity Framework correctly, in order to make this work, I want to have a channel be able to have many tags, and a tag to be able to apply on many channels. There's a couple of ways I can do this. I can go the obvious route, go the relational database route, and I can make a mapping table that includes tag IDs and channel IDs and is basically just a set of which channel IDs have which tags associated with them. I could also go the route where all I do is I take the tag ID and I store that in, say, a list on essentially a string on the channel. That is a perfectly valid approach to this problem. It's a simpler approach. It is way less cost than doing a full mapping table to allow for the many-to-many relationship. Brave Cobra, yeah. So being able to export this as a calendar app is definitely something that we might do at some point. If you are thinking of doing something along these lines, Brave Cobra, you could always just contribute to this one. It exists. We're using Notatime, and we got some assistance from John Skeet on the beginning of this, and I have a feeling David and I are going to be working on it further. But yeah, we do accept pull requests, so if you are so inclined, you are welcome to send us one. Okay, so name, description, and yeah, exact. Collaboration is actually a good thing. It really is. That's actually someone did say that he really wanted to work on this. He's like, wow, that's a great idea. And it's another streamer, so programming streamers really should support this kind of thing. Okay, so there's a tag. I want to have a database full of these, regardless of whether they're associated with channels yet. So let's go ahead and create this first, and then we can deal with the many-to-many relationship. Your approach would be a bit different. Brave Cobra, what would your approach have been? As I said, we're just figuring this out. So in order to get this in the database, here's what we're going to do. We want to go to the DB context, and a tag is not going. So tags need to be able to get created and manipulated on their own, separate from channels. And I say that because right now we're going to associate them with channels, but we will also be associating them with scheduled streams, and they really exist as their own kind of thing. So because of that, they definitely need to be their own property here on the DB context. Now what this means is you'll be able to pull these out of the database on their own. They're a separate thing. They're not a value type as part of an aggregate. So db set, and it's going to be db set of type tag. And we'll call it tags. 1 second, everyone. Hang on. Okay. Let's see. Log in as Twitch user, add your own calendar as recurring events, fetch your followers, display export the calendars, but you could hook up other accounts later. Oh, yeah, so Brave Cobra, so for that one, yes, we do want to have some kind of external auth. We do not want to be doing this within the application necessarily. So we might do a Google auth, a Microsoft auth, and a Twitch auth, which would handle Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer, I believe, as those three connections. So if we set those up, yes, we could connect to those accounts. In terms of adding your calendar, we already have it set up so that you add your calendar of recurring events. Fetching your followers is a weird one. I wonder why you would want to do that. So anyway, I'm sure I just don't understand what you meant. So db set tags, that ought to give us our tags. So now if we take a look at this, we have created a new tag. We've done this thing that I'm going to cancel. We're going to discard that change, and right here we have tags. So at this point, nothing significant has changed. let's go ahead and open up the PowerShell, integrated PowerShell shell that's here in Visual Studio. And I am going to do a quick add migration test. Let's call this add tags table. And let's see what we end up with. I haven't messed with it very much yet, so for example, those are not required values yet, anything like that. But I just want to confirm that we don't have any unknown changes that are going to be a surprise to me, and I want to make sure that everything is connecting and working properly. So every time I go to do this, I always start off by just doing a simple one that I don't expect to keep. I needed to shut down the project because it failed to build because it couldn't overwrite the files because the website was running. So I shut down the website, and now this ran. And if we take a look at what the migration, so EF migrations, the way it works is there's a command line tool that will create a migration of your database. So essentially a series of steps that will update it to the current version of the schema. So this creates a table. This table has a an identity column int called ID. We have a string that is name and one for description, and they are both listed as nullable. I want to change that. I don't want them to be nullable. So there's a couple of ways I can do that. But I think the one I'm planning on doing is this. Top over here. Discard those three changes. Inside the DB context, I am going to just make a quick set up tags. And whoops, module, model builder, derp. So when I create that, Brave Cobra, sorry. Hey, White Shark. Yeah, hang on, I'll take a look. Login to switches your engine to display the calendars, but you could hook up other accounts later. To pre-select the calendars of other people to add, I don't want to see all other devs, only the ones I follow. So pull your followers as a filter. Pulling your followers as a filter would be a cool idea, Brave Cobra. Yeah, hi White Shark. Instead of storing it in the database, I would use a calendar service like Google Calendar or Outlook. Oh, so you would want to export it out to those systems. That's an interesting one. You probably could load those into that. I don't know how well they handle recurring events in your current time zone, to be honest. I don't actually know how well Google Calendar and Outlook deal with that. I remember in the past having issue with it not updating as daylight savings time changed. So, but maybe they handle that correctly now. I haven't actually looked. So, anyway, let's see. Model builder, there we go. And these are my little setup methods. So, when I'm doing any kind of configuration of anything, I break out at least into helper methods, either in this same DB context class, or I move them into their own class. For now, I've got them in here. We could easily shift it out. They export so nicely, but this keeps it separate so you can see, set up the channel, set up that, set up tags. Okay, got it. So model builder entity, and I want to do entity tag. And I'm gonna say builder builder dot builder dot property name is required and description is required. So that will make both of those values required, and if we need to make any other changes to tag, we can go in here and we can explicitly do whatever it is. Wouldn't NoSQL be more suitable for that kind of data? So, see, it's funny, Brave Cobra, that was actually sort of what I was talking about, that we could do this using a standard relational approach or not. For now, I did it this way. Really doesn't make a huge difference. Triggered me to search for something that already understands calendar such. Search for something that already understands calendars such as Google Calendar. Brave Cobra, I'm not sure what you mean. Let's use Google as a storage backend. Yeah, so S&B, the idea, so we may have these export as various calendar files so people can use those. So that's kind of the idea. It would be nice if there were some way to get those calendars to talk to some service that we have. So yeah, exactly. So we might be able to integrate this into Google API and use their calendar. I would be perfectly happy to do it that way if there's a nice way to do it, Brave Cobra. Part of the reason for not just doing it based on followers is that we want this to be a way of exploring. Oh, having color as part of a tag. We could have a color on a tag. So when you're defining it, it's basically like the color we display it as. We might use color as like a type of tag, though. So like maybe languages are all the same color or something like that. At which point, yeah, we could indicate it that way, or it could be based on some attribute about it. So color then becomes calculated based on an attribute instead of being on the data itself. Tough to say there, which would be the better approach. So, either way, let's make this one first, and we can easily add color if we want to. Add migration, add tags table. Alright, there we go. Add tags table. We have an ID column that's non-nullable. We have a name that's non-nullable, a description that's non-nullable, a primary key on that identity column ID, and the down is just dropping the table. That sounds good. That's basically what we want to have as an initial version of this, because we can add on a lot of other properties and things like that for like information about the tag. So adding a tag model and table. Let's go ahead and push that. Okay. So let's talk about that, because there's a couple of ideas there. So we can add on this line, prop, I'll just make color a string for lack of a, really wanting to decide what the model is at this moment. So we could do color. We could also do color spelled that way. Either way is fine. We could also put in something along the lines of tag type, where, choices, of course, in a tag type. If we were going to put this in here, let's create that type right here, just, to visualize and think about it. Whoops, my hand was not on the home row there. Tag types, whether these are full out class or an enum or something like that, could have a name, This could have the color. This could have the associated image or icon. Right. Don't worry about these. What this is necessarily yet. Really? That's the type you wanted to use? There. Just because I'm not creating it right now, but this is kind of the idea. You could have a tag type, you could have name, color, image. You can have these kinds of concepts on it. So then the tag gets its data not from that, but from this one. Then obviously, if we were building this way, I would probably do something like this, where we would have this value, which really is like the tag view model. So I'll call it like that, so makes more sense to more people. So we might have the name, description, but then this is going to have the color. Whoops, yeah. And this might have the image on it, for example. So any extra data that's used for display would get on this value. Now obviously this could also have the ID, because maybe we want to be able to link to that tag specifically, but maybe we do that based on the name when we're filtering by tag. Maybe we don't really use the ID per se. So these are the kinds of concepts these are the kinds of discussions that I want to have. So if anyone has strong opinions on those kinds of things, I would love to hear what they are and suggestions on those kinds of things. One second. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so that's sort of the idea there. So that's why I'm not totally including color just yet, is because I'm thinking it might come in that way, and we might use the color as like an additional layer of information to the user that's looking at a tag. Because I think we can provide a little bit of extra by having them be categorized and have the color associated with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we have tags. Let's see. I almost want to do like a series of management pages. So where these are not for users, but they're like the admin pages almost. It was not really. I don't like that. So maybe just manage. Manage tags. And then inside of tags we have Razor page using Entity Framework CRUD. Tags, that's the DB context. We'll go ahead and let it create this way again. And we're just going to scaffold them this way. My assumption is that we're going to replace a lot of these with nicer looking input pages at some point in the future, and switch some of these to being probably Vue.js based little editing pages with Web API controllers as the backends on these. Nice, Brave Cobra. So kind of what I'm thinking is that we'll do something like that in the long run. So let's clear that up. Hey, welcome developers out of the Gareth stream. I'm assuming that was a bunch of F#. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Brendan and this here channel is DevChatter. Hey Gareth, yes, we are back. Glad to see you're here, and thank you very much for the 5-month resub. Very nice. That is definitely worth some hype. Sadly, I don't have the overlay turned on right now, so I won't, have hypes flying all over the screen. But welcome all the same. Know that there is that level of hype, even without all the hypes flying everywhere. So we're working on a fun project. This is actually one that I think you would be interested in at least looking at, if not contributing to. So the project is basically this. We are doing a website that is intended to be for developer streamers and the audiences of developer streamers, so people that want to stream and people that want to watch streams and get involved in them. And the idea of the site is that we want to have information about those streams, including calendars. So calendars obviously are just a part of it, but it's like the starting point. So it's a good way to see when different streams are happening. So the two main scenarios. As a viewer, I want to be able to go in and see what streams are going to be happening at some time in the future. So maybe I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I have some time where I'm writing a bunch of code on Thursday afternoons, and I want to see who is streaming during that time frame, and I could just have them on in the background while I'm doing my other coding. And so you go to the website and you look at Thursday in your afternoon, you tell it, hey, here's my time zone. Maybe it figures it out on its own, maybe it knows it because you're logged in and it's saved. Either way, it's going to show you a list of streams that are in that on that day, and you can find which ones are there. So that gives you discoverability because you can see streamers you don't know about, whether you follow them or not, and you can find that. Scenario number 2. As a streamer, you might want other people to be able to find your stream, so you post it there. And then related scenario number 3, you are scheduling your streams and you want to figure out where to put them so that you don't overlap. So for example, if I did an F#, stream, and I was going to do all F# stuff, I would try not to overlap with Gareth, because his stream does F#. And so streaming those at the same time would definitely overlap. Exactly, Gareth. It's obviously out on GitHub. I will post a link. I'm sure you know where my GitHub is anyway, though. But it's over there in chat. S&B, you were in a meeting today, and a business user said the current process was CRUD, and all the devs in the room took a completely different meaning from that comment. Yeah, because CRUD, is an acronym that we developers use. So yes, to a developer, having your current process be CRUD is totally fine. Like, okay, yeah, sure, that's fairly standard. You always want to handle all the CRUD operations. All 4 of them. Fullcalendar.io. That might be the one I looked at, Brave Cobra. I was looking at one. Fullcalendar.io. Is that, yes, that's the one I was looking at. This one. That is the one I was looking at, Brave Cobra. Yep. So I was thinking about maybe doing this. That's part of the reason why we haven't wired one in yet. because if there is something cool that we want to do with that, that I don't want to have locked us into one. Carrie, you made it! Whoa! Yeah, sorry, I was just using. Hey, welcome. Glad you're here. Sorry, I had to. You need V4 for recurrent. Let's see. I've used that calendar for a project at work. It's awesome. Cool. So I'm glad people like it. I was thinking of trying to find a calendar that mostly just handles the front end. I was just messing with you. You do not need to apologize. I was just messing with you. I was yelling at her because she showed up to our friend Steve's stream. I was hanging out in Steve's stream. She says, I'm like, hang on. I've done 160 streams. You've shown up to like one of those before. Steve does his third stream and you show up? Like, what is this? Speaking of which, this is our 160th episode of DevChatter. And actually, in a little over a week, so less than 2 weeks away from our 1-year anniversary of DevChatter. So, should be a fun one. I hope to see you all out for that one. My goal is to no longer have this lingering thing from my cold for that one. Should be a good one. I don't have any craziness planned yet, but I will be planning some fun stuff for that stream. We are going to make it an interesting one. So, yep, one year. Yeah, it's a lot of streams. A lot of streams. I don't think people realize just quite how many streams that really is. That's a ton of streams. Okay, let's take a look. So there's our basic CRUD pages. We have our index page, we have edit, we have details, we have delete, we have create. Looking good. I'm going to run this site through VS Code again. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And as soon as that's up and running, I should be able to refresh here in this page. So there we go. Hey! Party! Thanks, Carrie. The cold must have been pretty bad considering how you... yeah, Fuel Snable. It was a pretty bad cold, actually. Considering I was not streaming over that time. And many of you may know that in the past with colds I have streamed. So this was a pretty bad one. Channels needs an ID that identifies the channel on the site. On Twitch, that would be your user ID, not your name. Oh, yes, Brave Cobra. No, I agree. So name in this case, I did because that's a nice unique thing that we want to display. So we do want to display the name, but you're right. For integration both with Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer, we should probably use a user ID that associates with those. And greetings, Crimson Green. Yes, it's good to be back. Hey, Draco. Greetings. Does the channel entity have a link to the channel? Yes, S&B. We do link to the channel. And that would tell us which page it's on. So cool thing for anyone that doesn't know, if you don't know Entity Framework, one of my favorite things about it actually is this page right here. If you try to go to one of your pages that uses a table that you have yet to run the migration for, so Entity Framework will see that and say, hey, you haven't done it yet. Give you a button. I already clicked the button, and it will actually run my migration script automatically. And then all I have to do is refresh the page. So when I refresh the page, now it takes me there, and it has actually applied my migrations automatically. So super, super cool. You've been learning HTML and CSS lately, and you're going to learn JavaScript. Awesome, Draco. You were thinking of using Node.js as a backend and was wondering if ASP is front-end or backend. So Draco, we do ASP.NET Core as our backend website technology here, obviously using CSharp as the programming language for our ASP.NET Core code. If you use Node.js, that would be the back-end code, and JavaScript is going to be your front-end code. If you wanted to be a real rebel, what you would do is do Node.js as your back-end and use Blazor as your front-end. And everyone would think you were crazy, but it would be funny. But in all seriousness, yeah, you can use Node.js, you can use ASP.NET Core, any approach to give you a back-end for your JavaScript to talk to. It's really up to you what you wanna have that do, and that sounds awesome. I'm glad you've been digging into that stuff. You also would need the link, the auth to the channels, so we don't edit each other's schedules. Yeah. Brave Cobra. Yeah. I haven't locked them down yet. I put in the text my channels, even though we're not authenticated. We don't have them locked yet. I am planning on doing that. I had a guest contact me wanting to do something about authentication and permissions, and so I didn't want to put that in until I could bring on that guest, because it'd be really disappointing if I have a guest that wants to come on and do that kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, sorry, we already did the thing that you wanted to do. So, anyway, for streams that program in the CSharp language. So there we go. That'd be a CSharp tag. We could do a JavaScript tag for streams that program in the JavaScript language. Now, what I notice here is I have a pattern that has already emerged. So this tells me immediately that there might be something that I should do about my data structure. So what I'm already noticing is it might make sense if I were to set up languages as a concept in the code, and instead of having that tag type, instead have tags be created from the different things that are taggable. The idea being, if I know that JavaScript and C# are programming languages, there's a lot more I can do with them, and then we can just make 4 streams that program in the blank the blank language be the actual detail there. So, something to consider. We could also do something like this. Streamer speaking in 4 streams that's where the streamer speaks English. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that gets us our basic tags. So those work. I want to fix up how they actually are functioning there. But they do well enough now. Here's what I want to do next. I want to let's see, how do we want to connect these? Tags for a streamer. So what we can do is we can just make a table and do the many-to-many relationship that we would expect. So I think we're going to do that for now, and we may toss it. It's easy to toss out if we don't want to use it anymore. So we'll start there. So we're going to say channel tag. Int channel ID, int tag ID. So there is our many-to-many relationship created. That's basically all there is to it, is that table ought to make it happen. I believe that Entity Framework will mostly wire that up for us once we have that table. Let me check one thing. We're gonna pull this up. Oh, hey, cool. Some random website. Relationships, EF Core. Here we go. Many to many. There we go. Other relationship patterns. There we go. One to one, many to many. Here we go. Yeah, see, many to many relationships without an entity class to represent the join table are not supported yet. So that's actually why I had to create the channel tag class. So the idea is, I would like it as a developer if I didn't have to create this class, which is not really a thing. It would be much nicer to me if channels and tags each just had a collection of the other. That would be a nicer approach from the developer standpoint. Welcome, Kagura, I'm going to guess. I apologize if I just butchered that, but thanks for following, much appreciated. Greetings. Yes, always fun to watch while coding. So eventually we'd like to have these tables disappear, but right now EF Core doesn't support that, so we are stuck with it. And that's what I wanted to show you here. So now, what we can actually do is, the on-model creating is actually the piece that we already have. So this entity has one something with many that, foreign key, blah, 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 right? Oh, look, they're doing tags. That's funny. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this. We're going to hop over into our DB context over here. After we've set up channels and tags, I want to set up channel tag for now. There we go. And in creating this, what we can actually get away with is static void model builder. Yep, great. Fantastic. Post tag is actually going to be channel tag in our case. I love that their example is exactly what we're doing. That is hilarious. Channel ID. Channel. We may not do that. We may not do that. Channel tag. Ooh. They put both objects on it. I guess we can do the same. Whoops. So this, by putting these values on here, this does two things. So Entity Framework, a lot of times when we do this, it does not actually need these IDs when you're doing something. If you just put another object that it knows how to do on there, it will treat that as a foreign relationship, and it will say that's a one-to-many relationship. So what it will do is it will say, oh, I need to add an ID for that. Now, by putting these values on here explicitly, I can essentially tell it, hey, put those on there. Now, for those of you who follow the channel regularly, you'll know I don't usually put those on there because for the most part, I don't really want to see them. I don't want to deal with them. I don't care that there's a foreign key there. I just want the relationship to exist. and having to deal with the foreign key is annoying. Since this is just a many-to-many relationship table, I'm not too worried about it. I'll let it be there. And it might make this a little nicer. So yeah, see, this is the way they structured it for their post tag thing. Speaking of which, who wrote this? I just want to see. No, I don't know who those contributors are. I know a bunch of the people that do the docs on Microsoft, in case you didn't know that. Hence why I would want to look who did it. Okay, so over here in the channel tag, we have it'll have many. Actually, it's just gonna have tags. So channel tag will have a channel. The channel will have tags. That'll be channel ID. Okay. Many tags has foreign key. That tag ID is a foreign key with many. Post tags. This is supposed to be channel tags. But this doesn't have it, because I don't want... channel tag has a tag. It doesn't have many of the... I'm not sure if I want the tag to know about the channels associated with it. I guess I could just never include them. I don't really want that there. Let's see what it does if I get rid of that. Are those tags going to match science and technology or custom ones? Brave Cobra, no, not science and technology at all. So these may match with the Twitch tags. We might import those. So they could end up being things like programming. But I'm expecting we're going to want other tags. So I think a strong one's going to be a language-based, which, as far as I know, Twitch has yet to give us. So I don't really want it to be dependent on the Twitch ones, only because they are very restrictive on their tags, because they do a platform that's more than just programming right now. So one of the biggest ones I expect will be wanting to restrict based on things like you do ASP.NET Core and C# and JavaScript, and so those are the tags you might pick. Or maybe you do F# on Linux and you want to use those tags, for example. Those are not tags that exist on Twitch or any other streaming platform as far as I know yet. Okay, let's go ahead and create this property. We're going to make this a list of channel tags, and we're going to call it tags. And yes, I do just use list for these. Before anybody panics and says, but you should only use the abstraction. I don't generally shy too far away from the generic lists within the language. Sticklers could call me on that, but there are non-dev channels on Twitch. Yeah, Brave Cobra. There are occasionally games. They're rare, but they do exist. Okay. All right. Let me take a look. Do we have? Okay. So first off, let me commit those CRUD first. I thought I did that already. That was my screw up. Sorry, everyone. Basic tag CRUD pages. Create, read, update, and delete. There we go. Channel tag stuff. Okay, so now that I've got these, I want to do a migration, and this is behind my head. I'm naming the migration test. So I'm adding a new migration, so sorry about putting that behind my head. I'm not going to bother shifting it right now. But that is what we want to do. The reason I name it test... Oh, whoops, that's not going to run. The site's going, so it can't rebuild. Hang on. Alright, site's going to shut down. And hey, I got it shut down in time, so it was able to finish the build. Perfect. Alright, so let's take a look at what it created, what it tried to do, because I added a foreign key here, and it maybe wired it up right. We'll find out. Okay, so first thing I want to point out, it is creating a channel tag table, which I want to show you does not exist here. Okay? I did not define a DB set for this. So if you are new to Entity Framework, it is important to understand this. This is how you set up tables you want to access. That's not all the tables that get created. Some are created implicitly when you use them on the other model objects. So in this case, because I've used one on the other model objects, it's going to go ahead and create this table for me. So what do we have? Creates a new one. It has non-nullable channel ID and tag ID. It adds an index on the channel tag table for tag ID, but doesn't create one for channel ID. That's interesting. Okay, so our primary key in this case, if you take a look, is a composite of both the channel ID and the tag ID together. So neither one is a single unique ID. The next thing we have is we have a foreign key to the channel ID table and a foreign key to the tag ID table. And we've said on delete cascade. I don't think I want to do that. Referential action cascade. Oh, no, we do actually. I think so. In this case, if we are deleting either the tag or the channel, we want to get rid of its associated channel tag. Yeah, that's correct. That's what we want. Okay. So, quick explanation, the create index that we're doing here, so you'll notice it is only doing the create index on the tag ID column of channel tag. It's not doing the other one. That is very likely because in here, when we set up channel tags, we said that we have many tags. We didn't say that we had many channels. So if we do the reverse of this, and we say channel tag has one tag with many channels, and the foreign key is tag ID, that would essentially flip it the other way. So that's the switcheroo there. So if we create this, that would mean we end up with a list of channel tags right here, and that's weird. First off, to even have this table on here. So this feels a little weird, adding that there. It seems strange to have that on the tag. On the channel, I'm more okay with it. Yeah, so S&B, this is one case where Entity Framework falls a little short on the many-to-many relationship. That's the biggest problem. It has for a while, and I'd like to see it fixed. Maybe we're close to the point where I just drop Entity Framework and we just use Dapper instead. You guys didn't hear me say that, though. Yeah, S&B really wants us to switch to Dapper. Hang on one second. And I'm back. You've never used Dapper before, so seeing someone use it for a real project would be refreshing. Plain reality. Sounds good. It's been on my list to use it at some point. So very likely when I switch to using an external authentication system, which I think we're going to do sooner rather than later. Well, especially if someone wants to wire that one up. We will probably get rid of the identity system that's in here today, and as part of that we'll be able to yank out Entity Framework pretty easily. When we do that, we could easily switch this to using Dapper. It would be a pretty simple change. Ryakhovskiy will want to implement a rule to include the recurrence of events. Include the recurrence of events. Brave Cobra. We have a that's hilarious. We actually do have recurring events already implemented. So and yes, Brave Cobra, you snuck around Nightbot there by doing that, which actually. Let me do something real fast here. Log in with Twitch. Add user Brave Cobra 2. Congratulations, Brave Cobra 2. Nightbot should leave you alone. Both Google and Outlook use that to specify recurrence. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at some point, Brave Cobra. So we are actually using Node.js and have custom implemented our code that does our recurrence of events. I'm sorry, did I say Node.js? If I did, then I'm still on cough medicine, and what I meant to say was Notatime. Words. Okay. So, let's see. Where were we? We have this. That adds that. That adds that. Let's run this again and see what we end up with. Channel tag. Hey, the Mike Jolly, welcome. Okay, I think that's fine. We'll bring this in today, as is. That'll get us a reasonable structure to start with. You know what? Frequency weekly, count 30. Yeah, so we're actually just we aren't that specific on those ones. But works reasonably well. I will have to show you what we've actually got in there. Hey, see, there you go, Brave Cobra. See, you are free from harassment from Nightbot. Let's see. What do we want to call this? Channel tags. Create channel tags table. Okay, create channel tags table has this channel tag. It was channel tag table, not channel tags, Brendan. And this is why we use source control, because none of us can get names right. Okay, there we go. Create channel tag table. There it is. Yep, that looks right. Okay. And I will check that in a second, Brave Cobra. Every 2 days, 4 times. This is like recurrence rule or something like that. Ah, see, nice. It does put it in a specific time zone. Yeah, there's mine. Oh, this isn't until that's an expiration date now. What if I don't? What if I want it to be forever? No, I can't do a 0, infinite. 52 times. Then we'll do a year. That's an interesting little demo there. Huh. Interesting. Maybe we'll check it out at some point. Yeah, so Brave Cobra, what we're actually doing is we use Notatime to create our set of recurrence, which I guess I can show you real fast. Oh, did we actually put that somewhere, or is it just sitting in a terrible place still from where we just tested it? I think it's still just sitting right here because we didn't extract it and put it anywhere yet, because we haven't done that yet. Nope, we didn't extract it anywhere. So basically all we did was, so we didn't give a number of times to recur, but that's basically all this would be. You could just replace that variable with number of times to recur, and then this variant with an I plus equals the interval. The other thing is that interval, instead of being 1 here, is the number of weeks you add. So if we say something happens weekly, monthly, something like that, Notatime actually does have that concept they have date adjusters that they can actually do, and then you can basically say like next and then day of week, and so that's how we say things happen every month. No, Brave Cobra, we're actually creating one with recurrence. This is just how we create. This is how we, how to phrase this. I actually explained this at the beginning of the stream. Rather than just figuring out the recurrence based on that individual item, we have an event that has the recurrence. But the idea is, instead of having to figure that out and calculate that on the fly every time, we create the instances for those recurring events. So there is actually a specific one for each one in the future. So if you have an event that happens every Monday, for example, but you want to modify the way it happens on one specific instance, you need to have an instance of that, or you make exceptions. So you can either take that initial recurrence, have the recurrence object, and adjust it. Full calendar uses the same R rule lib. Oh, yeah, well that's fine. So for the most part, we mostly needed display, because we can use side projects. We're doing this mostly to code, so seeing how to use Notatime and things like that is kind of a useful tool to be able to understand a date-time system that in many ways is better for us than using the date times that exist inside of the .NET framework, which are not as good as the ones that Notatime provides. So that's part of what this is learn how to use that. It's a good example of it. I would actually wonder whether Full Calendar's .NET implementation is using Notatime or not. It'd be interesting if it is. Anyway, I'd love to see it. Okay, so that's how that one is hard-coded in there. Do I actually need whatever I changed there? Nope. Cancel. Let's see. So this adds those tables, adds that, and we didn't have that before. Oh, I don't have the type in there anymore, so we don't need it. So that was an unused using. There's the tags, channel tag. Okay. Channel tag relationship. Okay. So we're going to add that in, and that'll get us that basic channel tag relationship. Exactly, S&B. Moment.js for the front-end display, Brave Cobra. And yes, I do intend to use Moment.js. We're using it in a couple. I think we might already be using it. I don't remember if we included it. If we did it with a CDN, so it was just included on the page. Okay, whoops. Did not mean to click that. Okay, so a couple of other things that I want to wire up. So we have tags. So I want to get a tags controller going, because I know we're going to need one. And I'm guessing Montana. Welcome, Montana. Greetings. Thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. Derp in the derp? That's strange. Why is that on its own line? Return view like that? That's weird. Alright, so first thing I'm gonna make tag. Whoa, I did not want to do that. We are gonna make tags controller be an API controller, so API tags. Next thing I'm gonna do is I want to change it so that this is an HTTP GET on this one, instead of just having that comment there. And let's make this an actual type returning instead of an action result. We don't want to return back an event view model. We want to return back a tag view model, which we talked about. Sure. Generic list, task. When we get... getting a tag based on a filter, I think, makes sense. We're going to return back a new list of the tag view models, and it's going to have a new tag view model in it. And for now, I'm just going to do this. Okay, where did I put these? Tags. Class tag view model. Prop. Int ID. String name. String. Whoops. Okay, there we go. That ought to be enough just to get us working for now. It is currently async for no reason at all. It will eventually want to be async, so that's part of the reason why it is async, because we are going to make it that way. So tag ID1 name equals foo, description equals bar. There we go. That ought to do it. What does this want to change? Wants to make it synchronous, I bet. Let's do this so that it doesn't want me to expression-bodied member it quite as much. View models, and we'll have it insert like that. And that'll be 2, and fizz, buzz. Foo bar fizz buzz, perfect. As wonderful API tag right there. I didn't mean to open that. Start up the site again. There we go. API tags this time. Okay, so spits back those values, and we could pass in a filter of F, for example. Whoops, F, right? Filter F, cool. So that kind of works. Except we don't really want this data. We want to pull back an actual tag object from the database. So step 1, we're just going to connect straight to the database. We're not even going to wrap it around. We're just going to go ahead and give the controller access, and we'll extract it out later. So step 1. DB app, DB context, application DB context right there. DB context. Introduce that. There we go. So now what we can do is we can say tags don't think we're going to be searching based on the primary key, so alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to say tags where g.name. So this is not where we're going to put this eventually. This is just an example just to test it out. Contains filter, so we'll just do that for now. Which, yes, means this is going to be case sensitive, blah, blah, blah. This isn't the real code. We're just spiking this real fast. ToList async. Right there. So we're going to say var models equals await that. Then we want to create this object. So we'll specify the type explicitly there. And instead of doing this, we're going to say models dot select to view model. Okay, so we now need a toViewModel method to be here in order for this to work. And here's how I want to make this happen. If you look in some of these other ones, what I created is I created a mapping extension class that does this kind of trick. So I did extension methods for that. We're going to do the same thing for tags. So we're going to say tag mapping extensions. Yeah, so Brave Cobra, we can absolutely automapper this. And I did explain when we originally set up these mappers that the reason why we do it this way is that if we want to make this use automapper, we can hide automapper inside of these or add it, and it works just fine. So this is what we set up. Public static tag view model and to view model. This tag source, and we can then say return new tag view model. ID equals source. Source.id, name source.name, description source.description. There we go. Not too shabby. Oh, I didn't ToList it. Derp. ToList. And then that's what we can return, and yay, we have a little thing. How would you let DI inject the automapper instance into the static class? So Brave Cobra, that's why I said we can either insert it in there or do it another way. So for example, we can just automap in here, although I have never really shied away from automapper as the dependency I'm really worried about. And the reason I say that is if I'm not testing my automapper in my other unit tests, so I assume that piece works and I just let that one happen. It happens in memory, it's quick, so I usually don't pull that out when doing that. So because if I DI my automapper, then I'm just inserting the value at the point where the automapper was injected instead of wherever I got the other object. So it really feels like a pointless dependency to extract there. That does mean that you would have to run your automapper configuration in your tests if you are going to do that. There's a trade-off there. So let's see. Don't use that yet, so we select based on that filter on those. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a try. Can this build right now? Probably not. Hang on. Gonna go ahead and cancel that, stop that project and rerun, because I'm not sure, it didn't rebuild for some reason. Okay, so we have nothing. If we don't have a filter, it comes back with nothing. Do I not have tags? No, I do have a couple of tags. Well, there you go. What did I do? Pull the tags where the name... Oh, derp. Whether it contains null. That's silly. Hey, Rambling Geek. I don't have the project command set up right now. We're working on our DevStreams project. So essentially a website for having information about DevStreams, including things like a calendar for, scheduling streams and the like. Good to see you back. Welcome. And obviously, apologize to anybody that's here. I was out for a while because I was sick. So that's why my voice is kind of terrible today. Hoping it'll be better by Thursday when we're going to have a guest streamer here with us. So we're going to have Dave Paquette with us again. So he'll be up in the corner. You'll remember him from some previous streams. Yeah, Rambling Geek. This is actually a project. I actually technically started this project like 6 months ago, but I didn't actually start writing the code. The challenge is I started talking with John Skeet, and we were trying to figure out when we could schedule him in to come on the stream, and I was like, this is the perfect time to bring him in because he's the expert in Nota time. So we actually brought him in December, in early December, and he helped me get started on this one. So, if you are interested, feel free to take a look at the code. It's out on GitHub. It's all there. Take a look. Feel free to contribute, make suggestions, anything like that. We are open to ideas. I'm not set on exactly how it has to work. This is obviously for the community, so community involvement is much expected and appreciated. Right, so I was creating a tags controller. We were trying to figure out why this didn't work, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this because, lazy. I don't want to actually figure out what I screwed up, so I'm just going to debug it, and we'll see what I screwed up. Fastest way to find the mistake. Just debug the darn thing. API, tags. Filter is null. Okay. Alright, so let's change the value of filter and see if that helps. We'll jump to here. Does that have anything? It's got two objects. And CSharp and JavaScript. And it did not pull back English, so that's interesting. So... Yep, CSharp and JavaScript, if I put in filter equals C. And if I put in E, yep, English. J, JavaScript. E. Okay, so it's not... So it's doing a case-insensitive lookup when it does that. That's interesting. Yes, exactly, Brave Cobra. So you're going to have logins so people can select people they want to follow and then schedule their own calendar. Yeah, so Rambling Geek, that is kind of the... So I do want you to be able to pick who you want to see. So for example, following someone on Twitch already, we want to be able to pull that data so that we can filter down to just the people you follow, but we also want discoverability, so we don't want to show only your followers, but we do want you to be able to set it up that way. It would be nice if we can get you a full calendar of what you want to see during the week, though. So that is definitely on the list, and that might mean like favoriting people on here. So keep in mind that there are people that stream. So surprisingly, there are some developer streamers that don't stream on Twitch. Some of them are actually on YouTube. I think they're crazy, but they do it. And so we want to make sure that we're not leaving that section of the community out. So that's why we're not going Twitch specific on this. So yep, that's the idea. Okay. Woohoo! Thanks for the 100 biddies there, Rambling Geek. Much appreciated. Glad you're hyped up for this one. I think it's a good one. Wait, I had the overlay turned? I didn't think I had the overlay turned on. Apparently it's on now. I must have turned it back on. So, there we go. We have hype again today. Okay. Alright, so that filter seems to work. We're going to want that for tags. We definitely want to have tags. Tags are going to be super useful for this because we want to be able to filter on things like language and the like. Okay. Add a quick tag API controller. It's not the final version of that controller, but it does give us a little quick way to just get tag information. So just pull them. So tags, where that, toList async, and then we will var that just for simplicity. Select toList and return back view models. There we go. Okay, not bad, not bad. I mean, not great, but that does the job. Does a basic filter. Based on the name, we should get better filtering. To do much better filtering. Okay. So this is a stream, of course, about software development and not just the act of writing code. So as part of that, I'm going to hop over here onto GitHub. We are going to pull this up. This is our GitHub page that we are working with. So this is the project that we're working on. So if anybody is interested in working on it, it is here. And I will link it in chat. Here's what we've got right now. We have a few essentially like general ideas of things that we want to have happen in here. So find channels, let's see, find channels followed. So as a Twitch viewer, I want to see all the dev streams channels I follow on Twitch. So if I follow them on Twitch, I want to be able to find them here. Obviously, in the long run, we want to try and import some of the data from those. Let's see. Twitch login. As a user, I want to be able to log into the dev streams site using my Twitch login. So it needs a way of adding other platforms and allow the user to turn on and off. Like turning on and off like the YouTube, Twitch kind of thing. What do you mean, Rambling Geek? Let's see. Select streams to watch. As a viewer, I want to select streams to add to my calendar, so I remember to watch them later. Streams by date. Vine channels followed. I'm interested in YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, etc. Yes, exactly. You hit it precisely, Rambling Geek. Yeah, so in order to do that, we need to have the channel ID or user ID, which in the Twitch API are actually the same thing. Channel ID and user ID are the same thing. You'll find references to both, but they mean the same thing. It's actually a number associated with you. So while you're on Twitch, you have your username. So like, I am DevChatter on here. You'll see that. But there's actually a unique ID. So if I ever change my name, my number usually doesn't change. And on YouTube, it is going to be, there are some different values for that on YouTube. I don't know what the unique identifier is in their API, but I'm betting there is one still. Yeah, Rambling Geek, it's not a GUID on Twitch, but it would be like one. It's just a big long number. Hey, let me go take a look. I'll give you an example of one. So, for example, actually, Rambling Geek, Rambling Geek. Let me just copy that. Oops, nope, I can't copy your name. I tried. Okay, example. There you go. There you go, Rambling Geek. There's your user ID. Oh, yeah, Brave Cobra. I will add those. Let's see. Mixer login. As a Mixer user, I want to be able to log in using my Mixer account. Let's see. As a YouTube user, let's see, YouTube login. As a YouTube user, I want to be able to log in using my and I'm going to say your YouTube account, despite the fact that I know that that's a Google Apps account. I mean, it is a Google account that does that. I'm still going to call it that. We all know it's the same thing. I'm just going to use that term because I think it's more clear to what we're doing. And let me go ahead and label these correctly. New features. S&B. We could two-factor auth at some point. I'm not super worried about it because I think the two-factor auth aspect would be on the responsibility of, for the most part, be the responsibility of the authentication system itself. Because the idea is that we're not authenticating. We're pushing that off on the third party. So that would be up to your Twitch account to have two-factor auth enabled. Yeah, Rambling Geek, I think it is long enough to be unique. That's a lot of digits. But and it might be that it goes, you know, that could be an int64 for all we know. So based on that number of digits, I'm betting they let it go for quite a while. Oh no, I'm in both. Look, VS Code's right here. We're running in both. So I do I do a lot of my CSharp coding in Visual Studio. And I do a lot of my JavaScript in VS Code, although I do some of each in each one. I just go back and forth. I like both Visual Studio and VS Code. They're both fantastic. They do a lot of things very well, and I try to use the one that makes sense for each task to do that task. Yep. VS Code and Visual Studio are both great, and do get used here on DevChatter on the regular. Good question, though. Much appreciated. And if anybody is in here and hasn't yet, do feel free to check out our Discord. We actually do have like 400 some people in our Discord. So there are a lot of developers in there. So if you do want to be able to chat with some other people who are interested in coding and that sort of thing, that is a great place to look. ASP.NET Contrib. I love that those contribs exist. I remember the MVC contrib guys back in the day. They're good people. ASP.NET Security OAuth providers. So which ones did they add? Did they add shortcuts for them, or is it just generally OAuth providers? They don't list them. GitHub, Foursquare, Dropbox. LinkedIn, GitHub, Steam, PayPal, Yahoo, Amazon. Oh, this is hilarious. Battle.net, Stack Exchange, Slack, Discord, Twitch. That's pretty good. I like it. Oh man, that is nuts. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. That's cool. Pizza service, welcome. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. Hope you're enjoying DevChatter. Man, that is good. I'm impressed by that list. That is a good list. Okay, so we have YouTube login, Mix login, Twitch login. We have select streams to watch, find the channels followed. Let's see. These are some wishful things that I think would be cool. So we can Brave Cobra. So there can be stuff for these other ones. Pull the Streamlabs schedule countdown. Let's say pull Streamlabs panel. Import from Streamlabs schedule panel. Import from Streamlabs schedule panel. Many Twitch channels use a panel with a schedule. Streamlabs. And I think the other one is, I think Stream Elements has it. Many Twitch channels use a panel with a schedule. Use a panel to show their schedule. It would be nice to pull that data for them automatically. Bot command to output the schedule. So ask the service what the text output of the schedule of a user is. So you can add that as a command. Ask the service what the text output of the schedule is. Brave Cobra, I'm not sure what you mean. So we have a schedule command that is based on our schedule. But it would be, so a simple thing to do would be to make an API where you could ask for the channel, or the schedule of a channel. So if we did something like, let's say schedule API, public schedule API. Provide basic API access for schedule information. Whoops. Public API access for schedule information. So channels, bots can call it for schedule info. Example. Slash API schedule return the default recurrence for DevChatter in EST, and slash API slash schedule, whoops, DevChatter Erica underscore New York might return. Whoops, actually, let's do a different one. What is it, Chicago? U.S. time zone official names. No, those are not the actual names. Oops, that's 2 words. Yeah, there we go. Hang on. Okay. Where's Chicago? No? America / Chicago. Okay. Yep, America / Chicago. I don't know. Might return the schedule in CST / CDT. Okay, there we go. And I know you guys said everything in chat. Let me catch that. I missed everything. Okay. Europe, Brussels for Central European standard for Central European summertime, but only in the summer. So just an idea, but useful for beginning users who don't run their own bot. Hey man, budding .NET developer here. Welcome to Mitchell. You're currently working on some mobile apps on Azure after finishing your full stack Azure application. Have you worked on mobile before? I have worked on mobile before. If so, have you heard anyone discuss the difference between Xamarin Android Native or Xamarin Forms? Hey, no problem for the question. Yeah, that's the problem. Is it does yell about things that are potentially links. I find it funny that Xamarin.Android is actually what it thought of as a link there. But no problem on that question. I am somewhat out of date on my Xamarin knowledge. It's been a few years since I've messed with it. So most of my mobile experience is native, not with Xamarin. So that's not to say that I don't think that Xamarin's a great solution. I think it is. Most of my development these days, especially .NET, is web development. So you've been aiming more towards native with .NET backend. Yeah, so that is absolutely an approach where you just have your native application talk to a .NET backend. Works just fine. And you can do, and you might have meant on mobile, which if you did that works too. Okay, so that is a enhancement. Okay, let's take a look at these, see which ones are pretty easy for, I guess, other people to just tackle out the gate. Hang on. Okay, hey, Twitchlove? No, not totally unsick, just slightly less sick. Yeah, no problem, the Mitchell experience. Let's see, add scheduled streams. Actually, as a streamer, I want to be able to add scheduled streams to my channel using my time zones, like DSD. Oh, this is done. Yeah, we finished that one. View all channels. There's not a public way to do this yet. And actually, I do want to adjust this. Allow filtering based on tags, etc. Let's say filtering and searching. Because I don't necessarily know. We want a way to be able to find channels. So you might want to find interesting channels based on different stuff. What are we missing that are features here? Oh, be able to pull the calendar. Export calendar. As a stream viewer, I want to be able to export a calendar of streams I'm planning to watch. Okay. There we go. Do we have a build pipeline? No, Brave Cobra. I have not set it up yet. And yes, S&B channel ratings could definitely be things like tags. Obviously, I don't. You won't catch a lot of swearing on my channel. If that kind of thing comes out, it's usually minimal. And I have actually there has been a guest on this stream that before he came on, I did warn him. I'm like, we don't usually swear on my channel, so I'm gonna give you that warning that like my channel doesn't have like that. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Which is kind of funny. Like when you have like some people you have to give that warning to. Actually, now that I think about it, I've given that warning to more than one person. So I want to be able to export a calendar, so planning on watching. What is it? It's iCal and ICS. There's two. I don't know which formats we want to have. That's a discussion to have at some point. Let's see. No, we do need to have an actual build for this project. I will set up something for that. I'm probably not going to set that up on stream just because that usually involves configuring a couple of settings that I don't want to show on the stream, and then I don't have to show you guys the hide screen. I can just show you the configuration after it's set up, and I don't have to do my no peeking screen with configuration settings and stuff like that, or at least keep that minimal. I got to figure out where we want to host this. Might just toss this on Azure. Only because I've got some pretty easy stuff we can put it over there. I haven't decided yet, Brave Cobra. It could be Cake. I remember back when we had Dave Glick on the channel. He was really pushing for like caking all the things, because I guess it works nicely with YM. So who knows? Do you have a strong preference on Cake? I take it, Brave Cobra. And Rambling Geek, yeah, there's a good chance it'll be Azure. Only because obviously Azure is a place that I know pretty well and can get it set up on. No party without cake. Yeah. Okay, so sounds good. Couple of things I want to mention to everybody. Wait, is my Stream Deck not working? Okay, there we go. Now it fired that 3 times. It didn't actually do it. Anyway, I really do recommend, especially if people want to collaborate, best place to do that is to check out our Discord, because you can actually just hop over on the Discord. I don't have a DevStreams project set up on there, but I will set up a channel that is specific for discussing this project, so that we can talk about it and collaborate on it. If you are interested in collaborating on any of our projects that we do here on the stream, it doesn't have to be this one, it can actually be any of our projects. We do get pull requests on our projects from time to time. We like to review them and work with you on them and get them merged in. So feel free to check out our GitHub. Links over there in the chat as well as down below the stream. If you're interested in seeing any of our old videos here on the channel of any past streams, keep in mind we've now had 160 streams on the channel. There's a video section here on Twitch that has some of the most recent ones, but the best place to find the full archive of all of our videos, including playlists of all the different projects. So if you want to see just a specific project and what we did on that, I have playlists for all of those. They're over on YouTube at youtube.com/c/devchatter. So you'll find out that information over there. Hey Janiscu, welcome. In addition, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I am @Brandonius, and I have another Twitter account that's DevChatter with an underscore on the end. Yeah, I had to have that. That is just DevChatter information. I tend to retweet my Brandonius stuff. So if you don't want to follow me for whatever reason you don't want to follow me, I don't know, so maybe you don't, then there's just the DevChatter stuff. Brave Cobra, yeah, so we can chat on Discord if you want to talk further about this project. I actually want to see it go much further than just a schedule in the long run. I don't want it to just be about calendars and schedules. I want it to be an actual site where it really is about dev streams. So that's why I didn't call it the DevStream schedule. I called it DevStreams because I want it to be a place where you can really get information and, have it be about developer live streams. So that's the idea there. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for showing up today. I am going to wrap about now. But I want to mention a couple of things. First off, we have a guest who's going to be here on the stream on Thursday. His name's Dave Paquette. If you haven't seen him before, he's been a guest on our stream at least twice. I don't remember exactly how many. Should be a good one. You're welcome, S&B. Yeah, this is a... this was a stream that I was determined to do, despite the fact that I'm not yet in great shape. I hadn't streamed in a good long time, and it was really getting me, because I wanted to get back to it. So again, we'll be streaming on Thursday. It should be a good one. We will have, as I said, pair programming. So we do always enjoy that. And if you are, I I guess if you're planning on joining us, make sure you note that we start early on Thursdays. So on Thursdays, we start about 2 hours earlier than we do on Mondays and Tuesdays. So if you look at your clock right now, subtract 4.5 hours, that's our start time on Thursday. So we start at noon my time, and it is currently 4:30 my time. So I want to thank all of you for hanging out today. It was really nice coming back and having a great group of people to chat with. Hopefully your afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is where you are, was well spent enjoying the stream. XXY, I'm guessing. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce that, or if I am supposed to read that that way. But welcome. Thank you for following. Much appreciated. I am going to run my credits because I haven't. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. Yeah, my voice is not great, but hey, I'm kind of used to streaming, so I do try to do that. I want to make sure that I thank everybody. So thank you for the biddies. Those of you who cheered, thank you to our moderators for helping out, and thank you everyone who followed today, and Rubix and Gareth for your resubs. Greatly appreciated. I had a lot of fun today. We will be back on Thursday. I don't stream on Wednesdays, but we do stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays here on the stream. So there's lots of great dev chatter, and I will see you next time. Happy coding. Enjoy the rest of your day. It was fun. Thanks all.